Hey everyone, today we're jumping into a massive shift that's happening right now in the tech world. We're talking about how the software developer's job is completely changing. It's a move away from just being a hands-on builder to becoming more of a high-level strategist. And yeah, it's all being driven by AI. And this quote, it just nails the core of what we're talking about. The whole game is changing. It's not just about knowing the syntax anymore. The really valuable skill is now about strategic communication, how well you can explain your vision to an AI. I mean, that sounds a little bit like science fiction, right? But believe it or not, this question isn't just a fantasy anymore. It really gets to the heart of this new power we're about to dive into, a world where a developer's idea can become a reality faster than ever. All right, so to really get how huge this shift is, we gotta look back at what a developer's job used to be. For a long time, you could think of them as the digital craftspeople, the builders, working with their hands, so to speak. So, in the past, a developer's entire world was all about the nitty-gritty details. Their focus was on syntax, specific frameworks, and the super manual, line-by-line work of building a project. And their value? It was often measured in the sheer amount of code they could write. It was meticulous, it was time-consuming, and honestly, you could get really stuck in the weeds with debugging. Okay, so now let's talk about the big catalyst for this change, advanced AI. The tools of the trade are literally being reinvented, and that simple text prompt, it's quickly becoming the new power tool for every single developer out there. Seriously, just think about that for a second. What used to take weeks or even months of manual coding can now be set up basically in an instant. We're talking about the core infrastructure, the UI components, all the business logic, even the boring configuration files. All of it potentially spun up from one single clear instruction. It's kind of mind-blowing. So this incredible leap in technology is creating a totally new way of working and thinking. It's what our source material calls the developer CEO mindset. It's way less about being a fast typist and a lot more about acting like the chief executive of your project. And the main skill in this new world? It's called prompt engineering. But listen, it's so much more than just telling an AI what to do. It's really an art form. It's all about clear, strategic communication, defining not just the what, but also the how and the why for your AI partner. And this right here is the heart of that developer CEO mindset. The developer is now the orchestrator. They're the ones defining the vision, setting the bar for quality, and figuring out how all the AI-generated pieces are going to fit together. This frees them up from the grunt work of implementation so they can focus on the big picture stuff, like product vision and smart architectural design. Okay, so what does this actually look like day to day? What are the skills a developer really needs to learn to succeed in this new role? Let's break down the 5 must-have skills for the modern orchestrator. So here they are, the 5 core skills. First, you've got to define clear goals, because the AI needs a mission, right? Second, you have to set the right constraints, basically the rules of the road for the AI. Third, you orchestrate the project step by step. Complexity needs control. Fourth, you're managing feedback in a constant loop to make the output better. And finally, you go multimodal by using all the creative things an AI can do. Let's dig into each one. First up, defining your goals. A really good prompt isn't just a command, it's a mission statement. You have to be super clear about what the app does, who it's for, and what its main features are. This is the strategic foundation that everything else gets built on top of. Next is adding constraints. This is where a developer's technical know-how is still absolutely crucial. You have to set the rules for the AI. Tell it which frameworks to use, like Next.js, define your coding standards, like using TypeScript, and set the architectural patterns. This is what makes sure the code the AI spits out isn't just a functional mess, but is actually clean, consistent, and maintainable down the line. Yeah, a really common mistake is thinking you can just write one perfect, magical prompt and poof, you're done. The reality is, for anything complex, you need a step-by-step approach. You start high level with a plan, and then you use a whole series of prompts to build out all the individual pieces before you put them together. It's a controlled process, not a magic trick. And that leads right into the next big idea, the feedback loop. This whole process is basically a conversation with the AI. You have to review what it gives you, spot any mistakes, or things that could be better, and then give it really specific, actionable feedback. It's this back-and-forth cycle of refinement, not just a one-and-done command. And finally, leveraging all the AI's capabilities. Look, The best developers aren't just going to ask for code. They'll use the AI for everything it can do. They'll ask it to generate UI designs, create sample data for testing, write out the API documentation, and even map out user flows. It's really about building a complete, well-documented project, not just a chunk of code. So, what does all of this mean for the industry as a whole? Well, this shift isn't just affecting developers, it's changing who gets to create software, period. It's a full-on democratization of app creation. And what's so exciting about this is that now, with just the power of a single, well-explained idea, people like entrepreneurs, designers, and experts in any field can actually bring their visions to life. They can build real, functional apps without needing years of deep technical training themselves. And that, of course, brings us to the big elephant in the room question that's on everybody's mind. With AI doing so much of the heavy lifting and with more people able to build, does this mean the developer's job is going away? And the answer, at least according to our source material, is a hard no. This quote really reframes the whole conversation perfectly. It's not about replacement, it's about empowerment. It's about making the pool of creators much, much bigger. So the key thing to take away here is that the developer's role actually becomes even more critical, but it shifts. They become the quality control. They're the security expert, the strategist who makes sure that what the AI builds isn't just functional, but that it's also robust, secure, and ready to scale. They're the expert guides in this new, more accessible world. And at the end of the day, this is the whole thing in a nutshell. The best developers of the future won't be judged by how fast they can type, but by how clearly they can think. They're going to brief an AI with the exact same strategic vision and clarity they'd use to lead an elite team of human engineers. And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. The very definition of a developer is changing right before our eyes. The core skill is shifting from implementation to orchestration, from writing code to leading an incredibly powerful AI. So the real question for the future is, are you ready to lead?